Welcome to the airport, but are we at departures waiting to fly out to our new job in Israel? Or do we have a flight booked that's going to take us to Croatia? Or are we not in departures at all? Are we actually in arrivals waiting for our assistant managers to fly in from Sweden and Australia before we hop in the Fiat 500 and drive to North Wales? So after much deliberation, we jumped on a plane and flew to Croatia's second city, Split, where just 15 kilometres inland is the town of Dugopol, home to 3,500 residents as well as NK Dugopol. Bizarrely, our new club has a stadium capacity that's greater than the entire population of the town. But what an attractive little ground the Hrvatski Vitzovi is. And season tickets for the main stand are selling fast. So see Marta in the ticket office to reserve yours straight after this episode. We've already met a rather underwhelmed squad and completed pre-season, and today we're live for our first game in charge. So welcome to Dugopol's, everybody, our home for the next 11 months, assuming that we don't get sacked before that. I think this was the right job to take. Firstly, they were offering to pay us significantly more than the other job, so it seemed the most realistic one to take. And I also thought this would be the job that would give us the greatest prospect of getting an early promotion on our CV. Or so I thought. That may well turn out not to be the case. When we first looked into this job, they had a media prediction of finishing fourth. Well, those halcyon days are well and truly behind us. Now that we've been appointed, they are down to being predicted to finish 10th, 9-1 shots for the title. And just behind my head, the teams that are predicted to finish 15th and 16th don't get given odds because that's Dinamo Zagreb second team and Osijek second team as well. So we could be predicted to finish as low as 12th in reality. Maybe getting promotion might not be on the cards in this season in charge, but you never know. I think we've weaved together a little tactic that we will show you in a moment, but we've got two other arrivals to introduce you to as well. Of course, we've brought with us two of our trusted members of staff from Europa. First of all, we have brought in Jackie, who's going to be one of our assistant managers, great at coaching the goalkeepers, pretty good with the fitness as well, and adaptability of AT means that Jackie, one of our top tier patrons, is going to be coming with us wherever we move. But we have a second assistant manager as well, because Scott Thomas has jetted in from Australia. He goes all the way back to our Sub-Zero hero days. He will not accept any nonsense. He can't coach for toffee, but a level of discipline of 20 means that he will rule with an iron rod. Obviously, getting passports for our assistant managers proved impossible, so we've had to steal the identities of two elderly Croatian gentlemen. Hopefully, the authorities will not pick up on what we have been up to. So we're pretty settled. We're going to be playing our first game with Dugopol today. I think we should introduce you to the squad first of all. So just a little reminder of the stipulations we've set for this journeyman. We're going to be moving on every season, so we don't have long to establish our ideas. And we're not going to be making any signings, not even loan signings. So we can't bring in players to strengthen the squad. So it's really going to test us tactically. We're going to have to try and find a system at each club that we move to that's going to suit the players that we've inherited. And we're really going to have to use tactics to be a success. Now, typically, tactics are not my strength. I think I do have some strength as a player of Football Manager. I think I establish a good club DNA. I think I'm pretty good at maintaining strong dynamics. I think I'm pretty good at scouting and signing quality players. But all of those things have been stripped from me in this journeyman, and I'm going to have to just challenge myself to become better tactically. To that aim, we are, of course, going to need your assistance down in the comments section, so you can tell me what you think of this little system. It's a smiley face formation that we're going to be going with, a 4-5-1. I'm going to take you through the team. Don't expect too much from the defenders. It does get slightly better as we move forward. And as I show you these players, are these the kind of players that you think could challenge for a Croatian second division title? I think we might all come to realise fairly swiftly that they are not. Let's start with our star player, who will not be appearing in our first game of the season today because he got injured in our first pre-season friendly and has been out for about 5 weeks. He is fit again, but has not played any pre-season football since he picked up that knock. But once he does, I think this could be a really strong player. Dominic Balic is a really good all-round midfielder. He's only valued at £40,000. I think he could fetch an awful lot more than that. He could play as a centre-half and would be our best one by a country mile. He could play in front of a back four if we wanted to drop him back. I'm thinking he might play for us in the central areas as a central midfielder on defend in order trying to stiffen us up in that central midfield area, because all of these other 4 midfield players want to play more attacking roles. Let's introduce you to some of our other better players. The coaches quite rate our keeper. I'm not so sure. See what you think. This is Josip Silic, who is pretty decent, but there's a couple of holes I'm a little bit concerned about. A handling of 7 and communication of 9 and agility of 7. Only 21 years old, but we're not here to develop players. We're here to try and lift titles from the off. Have we got a strong enough keeper to do that? You let me know down in the comments. We're okay at fullback. Okay, not stunning. We are very weak at centre-half. We have got Josip Radoš, who is quick, I suppose. He is reasonable in the air, I suppose. Mentally, he is a little bit lacking. And then we've got a veteran playing alongside him in Mario Mornar, who, for somebody who's 31, I guess he's not the slowest, but is a little bit vulnerable in the air. And again, mentally, a few gaps. So we're going to be leaky this season. I think our best centre-half is a player I'm not actually going to play at centre-half. This is Igor Sharina, who I think would be strong in the central areas, but he has a player trait of gets forward whenever possible. Because of that, I think he's going to be more suited as a fullback. Can't cross or dribble, but he should be able to hold up an end okay. But then over on the left, we have another player who I think really could bomb on over at left back. Petar Mikulic, who is very, very quick. This time can cross and can dribble. And although his marking is not great and he will be caught woefully out of position, at least if he does get into position, he should be able to put in a tackle. And I think he could be able to overlap over on the left and provide a little bit of service. So the back four, not the strongest. The goalie, question marks against him. And our star midfielder, missing for today's game. And instead a player who's a youngster on loan from our near neighbours, Hajduk Split, is going to be playing instead. Yeah, so definitely a deputy option. But we've got some other midfielders that are a little stronger. Playing over on the right of our 3 central midfielders, we have Duje Javorčić, who I think is pretty decent. He could go out and play over on the left as well. And the player we're going to play as an inverted winger on the left, he could equally come in and play centrally. So we can rotate those 2 players around. This player's not too bad. Pretty quick for a central midfielder. Off the ball is good, so I'm going to play him as a central midfielder on attack so he can make some roaming runs forward. He can certainly pass a ball, bang in a long shot or 2. Decent first touch. Not saying he's a mini Modric, but he looks like a good operator in central midfield. And over on the other side, we've got Big Bruno Gencic. Big Bruno at 5'6" tall and a jumping reach of 1. Not as strong, I guess, as his counterpart in midfield, but his passing is good, vision is reasonable, he makes a cracking decision and is reasonably quick. We're going to ask him to be a little Mazzala over on the side of the midfield 3, just on support, trying to get forward as the fullback advances as well, seeing if they can create some overloads, because cutting in as an inverted winger over on the left, we're going to be playing Ivan Šebelic, who is another player on loan from Hajduk Split, and our player that has the highest transfer value at between £800,000 and £1.9 million. The coaches think that this is another good player. There are a few gaps to his game, but I think he's pretty reasonable. Technique is good. He can take our set pieces for us. Mentally, he doesn't have any huge areas of weakness. I think he's going to be okay over on the left, and on the right, we've got some genuine pace. This is Ivan Bernic, who's got a pace of 15, acceleration of 15, and he can deliver a cross as well. And he's going to work fairly hard up and down that flank for us. So I think going forward, we're probably stronger than we are defensively. However, do we have a player that's going to be able to score goals for us? Well, potentially, I think our best striker is another veteran. This is Ivan Rodic. He scored 2 goals in 2 appearances in pre-season. He's 35, so he's only a 1-year option, but we're only a 1-year option as well. Physically, he looks great. I love the aggression and the bravery. Got great work rate as well. Unfortunately, his composure is worse than his finishing, and his finishing is bad, and he's picked up a knock during pre-season. He's going to be out for at least another couple of weeks. So instead, we are going to be playing Mario Czernicki, who I think is solid, I suppose. He's only valued at £1,500. He's on £100 a week. He's not the quickest. He's not the best in the air. And he's not very strong. And he wants to be a target forward on attack. He at least gets that wish. Whether he has the attributes for it, not entirely convinced. The off the ball is reasonable. The composure is okay. The finishing is passable. But he's not a standout option. The only thing he's got going for him is that he has scored 5 goals in 6 pre-season appearances, and he's going to get the nod up front for us today. So let us know down in the comments section, who do you think our star player of the season is going to be, and do you think our smiley face 4-5-1 is the formation to get the best out of the players? We've got an opening game of the season to get to now. Let's show you who we're going to be up against. Today we welcome a club from Croatia's capital of Zagreb in the form of NK Yaren, who are playing in the 5th tier as recently as 2017, but last season were promoted to the 2nd division under former Croatian international Jerko Leko. Let's get to the stadium for kickoff. And so here come the players for our first game in charge. It is a home game. Hopefully that will help us. We are going to be in the all-white, by the way, whenever we are playing at home. And today we are playing a team from Zagreb, a small team. I think their stadium only holds about 400 supporters. I didn't check how fancied they were, but I'd love to get off to a winning start today. It's going to be a tough old season, this. Just arriving at a new club. We don't have any rapport with the players. The fact that the club are a 2-star team and we're a half-star manager means that they are incredibly sceptical as to our abilities. And let's be honest, we're all sceptical as to my abilities. It means that there is a lot of tumbleweed flying around every time we give a team talk. One of our fullbacks responds to everything that we say. I think he's the only ally that we've got in the squad. Everybody else is deadpan. So we're not going to be able to rely on team talks to galvanise the players, I don't think. Not for the first 10 games of the season at least, I would guess. So we've got to work on the tactics. We've got to make sure that we are squeezing as much as we can out of the players that we've got in order to be competitive. On 12 minutes, we are coming forward and we have got it to our pacey right winger Bernic. Can he deliver something into the box? You can see how many players we've got hitting the box when we come forward. And here is one of them. We've had an effort. Charged down, unfortunately. We've not made that convincing a start to the game, have we? We're approaching the halfway point of the first period. And here we come again. We've got 4 men in the box once more. We've worked a little opening. I reckon we probably could have done better with that chance. Instead, we've passed it back to the opposition keeper. But the highlights are starting to come pretty regularly now. They are building up from the back. I'm expecting it to be quite good football in Croatia. Lots of technical play, slow build-up play. I don't think there'll be many teams hoofing it up to a target man on attack. Except one, of course. That is our tactic. We are playing a target forward, although albeit not a strong one or a tall one or a quick one. Or a talented one, but that is going to be our tactic for the season, at least until we can get our other striker back from injury. We never know. We might reassess if the season doesn't start well, and we might go to 2 up top. That's how we started pre-season. Because that veteran striker that picked up a knock, I thought he looked pretty useful, but he's not going to be available to us for the first maybe 4-5 games of the season. So we're going with our smiley face tactic instead. We are back into the highlights on the 34-minute mark and we have been carved open. The coaches do rate this keeper. More saves like that, I might start to have a bit more faith in him as well, because that was a point-blank opportunity for our opponents as they nod another effort across the face of goal. Our goalie dealt with that shot well. Been a pretty even first half. We have possibly shaded it, but we've not looked particularly like scoring. Team talks are not going to do a lot for us, I think, but I am going to tell them that we expect a little bit better. I might also have a little bit of a tweak of the tactics. Maybe we go a little bit more offensive in search of an opening day victory. Okay, the good news is the players responded to the mild moan that I had to them at half-time. The bad news is we've got 3 players playing a 6.4 rating from that first half. So they have got to pick up, otherwise I fear we might not get a win or even a point during this opening game. We have got a highlight straight from the kickoff. They are pretty cautious at the back, aren't they? They don't hoof the ball forward, he says, as they hoof the ball forward, and we pick it up in the left back position. Are we actually going to craft a chance directly from the kickoff? I tell you what, you don't see that very often, but here we go. We've got the players overlapping down the left. Here's our left fullback charging forward like we've asked him to. And he's got a bit of delivery in the box. It's a header from one of our advancing midfielders. He's blazed it over the bar. Maybe we need to put lower crosses on, even though we're playing a target forward, in order to try and create better chances in the box. That's one to consider. Let me know what you think down in the comments section. But we're coming forward again, and Ivan Šabelić has got us the goal. This is the player that we're playing as the inverted winger over on the left-hand side. He could equally come and be the attacking midfielder of our central midfield 3. But he has managed to get on the end of a chance there. That's a pretty composed finish. And we've got our first mercenary goal. Now we just need to hold on and get our first mercenary 3 points on 65 minutes. I think it's time for substitutes, and we've hit that landmark now. Let's get some fresh legs onto the pitch. And now we're on 75 minutes. We've got one more substitution up our sleeve. I want to give some minutes to our best player, the midfielder, who's been out injured for most of pre-season. I might bring him on as a centre-half rather than a midfielder. We'll see what we make of it on about the 80-minute mark. What I don't want to do is rush him back and then pick up another knock, because I think he's the player that we're going to rely on most in order to keep us competitive. We've won a penalty. This could tee us up for an opening day 3 points. And he has drilled it home. Igor Serena. We're now well into the 80 minutes. Let's make that final change. So this is the player we want to bring on, Dominik Balic. We could bring him on in midfield. We could bring him on in defence. This is the young lone player that's been deputising for him in midfield. And he's not actually having too bad a game. He's averaging over a 7. Maybe we should make a different change to that. Should we take off one of our central defenders and just try and stiffen things up at the back, and maybe playing as a defender might not tax Balic as much as asking him to dash around in midfield, but we'll at least get 10 minutes of game time into his legs, because I think he's going to be crucial for us during this season. We've not looked that fluid, have we? But we've managed to get ourselves a 2-0 victory. And the players have actually played pretty well. It was the centre-back that scored the penalty. Igor Serena. This is the full-back that likes to get forward, who we slipped into centre-half. So he's going to be our penalty taker by the looks of it. We've got good performances from the wide players. Decent performances from our midfielders. Dvorčić played pretty well as well. We've got a goal as well for Šabelić. He could be a star man for us if he's valued around £1 million. He's already got his first goal for the club. I think you're going to say that's a pretty pleasing opening day performance, but we've got some games to get under our belt now. When you come back, I think we might be as many as 10 games into our first season as FM22 Mercenaries. Will we be near the top of the table, or is this going to be a baptism of fire in our first job?